Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where on screen we have a puzzle that has been recommended to the nines. It's called Huey, Dewey and Louie, and it's by Crusader175, who some of you may know under this, well, I think it might be their real name, Alaric Taki Arancha, if I remember rightly. And we've certainly had Alaric or Crusader175's puzzles on the channel before. And yeah, as I say, this one has an awful lot of plaudits, and I've read the rules and I think we're going to be in for a chromatic festival today, because this is definitely a colouring puzzle. Well, it's either a colouring puzzle or a labelling puzzle, and I'm definitely going to go for the chromatic alternative. But I've got some things to talk about first before I read you the rules today. The first is I need to apologise. I know many of you really struggled to watch last night's video when it was first released. Now this was really the fault of YouTube. The puzzle was called Stairway to Heaven, and I recorded myself playing a little bit of Stairway to Heaven. The first time we uploaded this, it got copyright dinged, and that's bad. So I had to re-upload it at about 8 o'clock last night. It didn't get copyright dinged, but YouTube then decided it was going to take an age to process the HD version. And in the interim, it appeared many of you either couldn't watch the video at all or could watch it without sound, which I'm guessing was probably not the optimum way of watching a Cracking the Cryptic video. It did resolve itself in the end, so we didn't need to release the re-upload that we then did later on last night. But I know it would have been annoying for some of you in the interim, and we're sorry about that. There is little control we have once things go wrong, and we rely on outside forces to process things and the like. Hopefully it's all right now, and if you do get a chance to try yesterday's puzzle, you definitely should, because it was a debut for high dudgeon, and what a puzzle that was indeed. Now, next bit of, well, let's actually talk about the stream last night. We had Mark and I were solving puzzles from our 500,000 subscriber special app. That is a free app. You can download it now. Just search for Cracking the Cryptic on your app store. We got through 3 puzzles altogether, which isn't many in a couple of hours, but the puzzles we're getting to the hard end now of the app. And I did puzzles by Joseph Namer and Tall Cat, both brilliant puzzles, and Mark did one by Fistamafel. So a lot of fun was had by all. I did have some wine in yesterday's stream, and yeah, I wanted to say thank you as well. We had some extraordinarily generous donations last night on the stream. Just know that by doing that, you're keeping the channel going, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you. And we'll be back with more streaming to finish off the app puzzles in the coming days once Mark returns from his golf trip to the south coast. Not that I'm jealous at all about that, but Mark, I hope you missed the cut. Anyway, what else can I tell you about? I've got some birthdays, actually. Let's start with Alex Chang. You are 15 today, my friend, and I believe you've been watching us since you were 12 years old, so that's rather lovely. Over there in Canada, I hope that today is full of enormous amounts of chocolate cake for you. And also, Andrew, you've turned 23 today, and your wife Kimberly told us this, and she also let it be known that you often spend your date nights watching Cracking the Cryptic videos, which tickled me pink. So yeah, Andrew, I hope you have a brilliant day too. What next? Over on Patreon, there is much going on. I haven't quite uploaded this yet, but Mark and I yesterday devoted a great deal of time to solving this very interesting looking set of 6 puzzles by the great Zetamath called Vignettes. Now this is complicated because all these grids are interrelated by doubler cells. And therefore it gets really rather intricate, but we do think we managed to find a way through it, and we were doing it together, so 2 brains are clearly better than 1. And we'll release that video over on Patreon as soon as I can get the processing of it done and the editing of it done, adding instructions, etc. to it, which I'll try and do today, but I might not get a chance because this afternoon I've got to go and get my new glasses, which will hopefully mean that all my scanning is going to be much better as a result of this. Anyway, that's coming soon on Patreon, as is our monthly reward for October, which is only days away, which is called Duality. And that's 14 puzzles in all by the Sudoku Skunk Works, all featuring 2 classic rule sets from Sudoku, which are combined in new and interesting ways. It is a magnificent pack, and I'll tell you more about that competition in the next day or two. So all of that said and done, have I got anything else to mention? I don't think so. Let's have a look at Huey, Dewey and Louie by Crusader175 and see why this puzzle has been recommended so often. The rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So those 2 digits there, imagine this was 1 and this was 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. That's how that arrow might work. And it would be amusing to me if it did work that way. Right, here's where it gets more complicated. Divide the digits 1 to 9 into 3 different groups. Digits with the same letter must be in the same group, and 2 digits from the same group may not touch orthogonally. Now, orthogonally, remember, if you're not familiar with that word, it's a long, complicated sounding word meaning something very simple. 2 cells are connected orthogonally if they share an edge. So those 2 cells are orthogonally connected. These 2 cells are not orthogonally connected. So here, what we're being told, let's look at this middle box, is that we're dividing the digits 1 to 9. So we're saying, okay, so A, these are the A digits, these are the B digits, and these are the C digits. And this digit could not be a C digit, is what we're being told. So it would have to be an A or a B digit. That digit could not be an A digit, because if it was, it would share an edge with an A digit. So that's a B or a C digit. So they could yeah, I think this is going to be a mental puzzle from a colouring perspective, but do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And in fact, the first thing I'm going to say about this grid is that it is really rather remarkably symmetric. So if we just imagine that arrow in box 1, imagine that wasn't there, and stare at the rest of the grid for a moment. It is perfectly symmetrical then. When I say symmetrical, imagine that we were going to rotate. In fact, I might be able to show you this if I can draw a line diagonally, which I can now in this wonderful software that Sven creates for us. So imagine this line here, or this axis of symmetry. Now imagine you were to rotate the whole grid 180 degrees around this axis of symmetry. I think it's true to say that basically you get exactly the same puzzle. Now, yeah, the 2's would map. The arrows, this arrow as it rotated round would end up in exactly the same place. And the B would map onto A. So the A's and B's would swap their labelling, but it wouldn't change the puzzle at all. It would just mean that A was B. That's all it would mean. C would still be the same, because C is on the diagonal. So what does this tell us? And the answer is perhaps nothing at this point, but what I'm thinking as I am going to approach the solve now is that whenever I find any logic in this puzzle, let's say I was able to identify what this digit was, I should immediately be asking myself, can I apply the identical logic that got me this digit to this cell? Because unless the logic that got me this cell involved this box's logic, I really ought to get that cell as well, because the logic should be the same. And yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. That's probably not helping us very much, but I wanted to tell you that. And this arrow must be at least a 1, 2 and a 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6, so that's got to be at least equal to 6. And it would be quite amusing if this was the place to start, because it would render all my symmetrical mumbo-jumbo probably otiose, but I suspect we've got to start by thinking about A's, B's and C's. Now we have a choice here. and I know which choice I'm going to take, but we could label cells. So I could label this cell B or C. But I think what I'm going to do is colour. So those 3 digits are the same colour. Now we've got to make some sensible choices here for the colourblind folk who watch. So I'm going to use B for blue, because blue is fine. I'm going to use orange for one of these colours, because orange and blue are I think the most friendly. So I use orange and blue. And I've got to pick a third colour, maybe grey. Oh, that's not too bad. Let me just try some other options. What about yellow? Yellow's not too bad either, but yellow and orange are quite close to each other, so maybe that's a bad choice. Green? No, that's a bit glary for me. I think I'm going to go with grey. I can see the arrow beneath the grey. So let's go with grey and hope that that suits everybody out there. Now, what we are therefore being told is that this cell is not grey, it's blue or orange. This cell is not... How could that be A, actually? Hang on, maybe this is how you start the puzzle. So, if that's A, it can't be orange, definitely not. I think this is going to be blue. If it's grey, it can't be that grey, because it sees that digit, whatever that is, in the row. Oh, but we can repeat digits, can't we? Oh, okay, right, sorry, I've missed this altogether. So sorry, if I make these 1, 2 and 3, just to show you what I've not appreciated. If these were 1, 2 and 3, I was thinking I couldn't make this grey, because I would repeat grey on the arrow, but there's nothing to prevent me repeating grey on the arrow. Yes, it's true to say that this can't be a 1, that's true, but it can absolutely be 2 or 3, although I've just noticed I put 2 2s in this column, so I'll change that round. But this could be 2 or 3, couldn't it? That's fine. So I think the upshot here is that that can be grey, unfortunately. Right. 2 has to go in one of those 3 cells, but it would be fairly natural for it to live on an arrow cell. This is weird. So I want, if that was actually, maybe it's to do with the sum then. If that was A, oh no, it's no, because I can repeat digits again. Use your brain, Simon. Yeah, I was thinking, is this 3? Is having 3 A's on this line in some way problematic for the circle? But I don't think it is. Ah. Oh, I've got it. Right, I've got it. Okay. It's not the tip of the arrow. It's the circle of the arrow that we've got to think about. Oh, that's really beautiful, actually. It's really clever. So how could that be grey? That's the question. And the answer is, of course it can't be grey, because if it's grey, what is its nature? Now, it can't be this digit because of Sudoku, and that means it has, if it's grey, it has to be one of the digits on its own arrow. Well, let's say it's this one. So let's make this a 5. No, I tried to type 5 and failed. Lost my army. So how does this arrow now work mathematically? Well, it only works if those 2 squares are 0, and that's silly. That will not be correct. So that means this cannot be grey, and if that cannot be grey and it cannot be orange, that square is blue, and therefore that square is orange because it can't be grey and it can't be blue. So therefore this square is grey because it can't be blue and it can't be orange. And, oh, bother. That just dies, does it? Right, so the whole trick to this puzzle is to create, we're going to have to create corners, by which I mean when I got this one, I had sort of corners there that allow me to get this one. Yes, okay, but let me take my own advice. We got this digit by thinking about this arrow. Well, that logic should work identically in this cell. And I could almost do this. I will do it slowly, but I could almost do this by symmetry, because I've not involved this arrow at all in the logic that got me this colouring. So I can instantly, therefore, apply it here, because this is exactly the same position, just rotated. And rotation is not going to change the nature of the logic we can apply to this cell. So let's think about whether this cell can be blue. Well, clearly not, because it's either going to be on its own arrow then, or it's going to be that blue and repeat in the column. So that's not blue, it's not orange, it's grey. And therefore this cell's orange, this cell's blue, and we get a sort of matrix of 5 by 3 in the grid. I've got... Oh, right. Oh, that's magnificent. This is magnificent. Okay, we've got an agad-mator opportunity here. Someone wrote to me and asked me, what do I mean sometimes when I say I'm going to do this agad-mator style? Well, agad-mator, as many of you will know, is quite a famous chess YouTuber who often pauses in the middle of his review of games and says, pause the video and see if you can work out what the next stunning move is. And he then says something like, for those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. Now, there is a stunning move here that will allow you to put a digit in the grid. And I will tell you, the digit you can put in the grid is the central cell. Go for it. And for those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. Okay, so what I've noticed here, and this is really, it's just lovely, is what is the nature of 2 in this grid? And the answer is that 2 is orange. And the reason I know that 2 is orange is that 2 cannot be grey, because all 3 greys have gone in this column. So this is not grey. But in this column, remember the symmetry, 2 up here cannot be blue. So if 2 is not blue and 2 is not grey, 2 is, you've guessed it, orange. And if 2 is orange, by Sudoku in the middle box, it goes there. And that was the digit that I got. And that's rather cute. And that square's now blue by the nature of it being adjacent to grey and orange. So that square's got to be grey by the same token. Now that square is at a corner, so that's got to be grey. That square's got to be blue. This is going. This is going. Have we cracked it? That's orange. That's grey. Up here this must work as well. That's blue. That's grey. That's orange. That's blue. Nori nori. And I've got stripes. So yes, I've got a stripe of grey, a stripe of blue, and a stripe of orange, all going in the directions of the arrows. This is weird. There's something weird going on in this puzzle. I've got all of the well, I haven't got the digits, but I've got all of the colouring of the central 3 columns done. And I've got the same logic again. That's not going to be grey. I think it's the same. I've got 2 greys on this arrow. So it's a bit like when I was looking at whether this could be grey before. If this was grey, it's either, it can't be that digit, clearly, so it would have to be one of those, and that would imply that the other digit on the arrow was a 0, which won't work. So that's not grey, it's not blue, it's orange. And if that's orange, that's blue. And therefore that is grey. Oh, we can get this one. That's now blue. And that one, I might have made a boo-boo, I'm afraid. I was expecting this to just fly down this column using corners, and I've run into double blue here, which I'm surprised by. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Was I wrong about this then? Maybe this... How could this be grey? It just can't be grey, can it? If it's grey, it would have to be a digit on its own arrow. That simply does not work. Oh, if that's orange, because this is a one cell arrow, so that gets propagated into here. Ooh. Ah, okay, well now I'm noticing this digit here, whatever it is, there are 2 of it in those 2 cells, and it's definitely not 2, because if that was a 2, you'd have to double 1 the grey arrow. And that won't work, because it'll repeat 1 in box 2. So does that mean that 2 is restricted in this box then? 2 is not here, it can't go, it's not here, and it can't go next to its own colour. And it's not blue, so 2 is in one of those 3 cells. Probably on the arrow. I've got another situation here where I've got 2 diagonal digits not giving me this digit. Why is my phone going nuts? I don't know. But all this might come to a stop now, but surely I can do exactly the same to that cell. That cannot be blue, because if it's blue, we've got exactly the same problem we had with this being grey. And if that's not blue, and it's not grey, it's orange, which is the same as this, which means that's orange by the power of those 2 digits being the same number. That's now grey, that's now blue, that's now grey again, I think. And then those 2 marry up and don't give me this one. Mean. Okay. And the symmetry breaks down a little bit here, doesn't it? Because 2 in this box... Oh no, it doesn't. I think I still get the same pencil mark. 2 in box 9 can't go there. And it's not any of those digits because it can't go in this cell here. So I do get the same pencil marks, even though this arrow is sort of adulterating slightly what's going on in box 1. Right. Now, what on earth do we do now? So whatever this digit is, it's the same as one of those. Oh, hang on. Right, okay. I'm very tempted to try and colour my orange digits now. Yes, it's quite interesting. I think these have to be different. And the reason that these have to be different is that these have to be different. So they're going to wipe themselves, they're going to wipe different versions out of these 2. So these are different. Yeah, okay, I'm going to add more chromatic complexity to this with the addition of purple. Or maybe red. Is that going to be... Red is... Actually, I'm finding the red easier to see than the purple. So I might go... What about green? Yeah, that feels okay to me. Red and green here. Now, therefore, this square, which cannot be the 2 and cannot be red, that is green, which means that's green. Which means that's now seeing green and 2, so that's red. This is green. This is green. This is red, therefore. Is this doing anything? That is now, they're both red, which is exactly what we expected. They're different from green. Now, this has done absolutely diddly squat, hasn't it? Oh dear. I think it's done diddly squat. I'm sorry. Okay. Right. We need to think harder. What about... What about 2 in this box? Where's that going? It's not going there. I know it's not the same as red, and I know it can't be next to orange red because it is orange. And it can't be there actually either because that's orange. So there's a 2 in one of those 2 cells. And well, interestingly, by Sudoku we can say that, noting this can't be orange because of this, but we could have done that logic absolutely exclusively by reference to box 6 and just asking where 2 went using this cell. Right, so... Oh, that's lovely. Right, okay, so where does 2 go in this box? I can just place it, I think. So the way I spotted this was, look, we've got the 2's, the 2 pencil marks here, aligning in columns 8 and 9. And there are a few ways to think about this. You could immediately just say, okay, well, where does the 2 go in column 7? But some people, myself included, I think, like to think about it in the context of that rectangle up there. And ask yourself the question, is it possible to put a 2 in any of the cells of this rectangle? And the way to see the answer to that very quickly is to ask yourself how many 2's you're expecting there to be in these 2 columns of the Sudoku. And hopefully your answer to that is 2 2's. So there's going to be a 2 in this column and a 2 in this column. But we know that the 2 2's, there's 1 2 there and there's 1 2 there. So the 2 2's are in those 5 cells. So we can't have more 2's up here, or there will be too many 2's in those 2 columns. So the 2 in this box is in fact in one of those cells. Now where is it? It's not there by Sudoku. It's not there by the power of orange. So it is there, I think. And therefore that is orange. And oh no, these are both, I don't believe it, they're both orange, although they have a little flash in each one. They are both, so I don't get these 2 digits, I don't think. That's not a 2 anymore. Oh, I see, and I can just reverse that logic down here, can't I? So the 2, there can't be any 2's in this rectangle. That's not a 2 by the power of 2. That's not a 2 by the power of orange. So this is a 2, and therefore that is orange, and therefore these 2 digits are going to be the equivalent naughty digits to these 2 on the other side of the grid. Bar humbug. Oh, okay, I've now got 3 oranges in this row. So everything else, that's not 2. So everything else in this row is either grey or blue. Oh. Restart device. No, I do not want to restart my computer in the middle of a video. Right, blue and grey. So do I want to start doing something like this is the question. I don't think I do, because that's going to be very confusing, because these digits, a flash means in the context of orange digits, this is the red version of orange. Whereas if I do that, what I'd be saying is that this is a blue-grey pair, and that's a different thing. Grey in this column is, I can place one of them. I can place one of them for you. Right, where's grey in this column? I've got two more greys to put in, and that one can't be grey by the power of grey. And I can't make both of those grey because they'll be adjacent to each other. So that must be grey. Oh, and that doesn't do anything either. Oh, botheration. Okay, so the same must be true of blue here, is it? Yes, it is. I've got to put 2 blues in this column. That can't be blue, so 2 of those 3 cells are blue, and we can't make the blues adjacent, so that's blue. I've now seen I've got all the blues in this row, which means I've got all the greys in this row. Which is perhaps interesting. Ah, all right. Where is orange-green in that box? That is a question that I'm suddenly asking, because I just spotted something here. you can't put an orange green on top of a 2 because 2 is orange. So neither of those squares can be a second orange. Now neither of those squares can be orange green, and that means orange green is in one of those cells in box 1. But that means orange green is in one of those 2 cells in box 3, and it can't be that one. So that's orange green, and that's on an arrow. So that cell I'm expecting now to be orange red. Oh, but this square is now grey because it sees blue and orange. That's grey, which means that square is now blue by the power of seeing grey and orange. This square is now grey, it sees those 2. So there's a lot of my being here that wants to make that grey, to create a grey stripe. But I don't think that's reasonable logically, is it? I think it could still be orange. It's not going to be. I just don't believe it's going to be. And no, that doesn't mean it's... Oh, I was about to say this has to be an even digit because it's summing 2 blues. But of course, blues, these are not the same digit. They could be anything. So I can't say that's even. It is not equal to 2 blue. Well, it is equal to 2 blue, but blue could be one of 3 digits. So, okay, but right. So let's try and reverse the logic I did up here to get me these digits. So how did I start this? I looked at where... Yes, I know. So I was thinking about orange in the context of this box. So orange-red can't go there. Orange-red can't go on top of an orange 2. So orange-red is down here, which means orange-red is here, which means this square is now blue by the power of grey and orangeness. That square is grey. That square is blue. So now that can't be blue. Yeah, so it's the same. Now we can apply sort of blue logic to this row. It's the same as before when we applied it to these columns. This is really, it's a stunningly beautiful puzzle. Not just in terms of the colouring, but just in terms of the logic, the way it flows. It's really quality. It's real quality. Yeah, where does blue go in this row? Well, I've got 2 more blues to put in. So this can't be blue. I can't make a blue domino because they would be adjacent blues. So that has to be blue. And therefore that square's got to be grey, I think. Because it can't be orange. I've got 3 oranges and it now can't be blue. So that's grey, which means that's blue. Which means that's orange of some variety or other. Oh. It's 2. It's 2. Because it can't be either the red one or the green one. That's a 2. Which means that's a 2. So this is blue. Because it's not grey and it's not orange. This is now grey. This is now orange. We get a stripe of orange. So you always get stripes. I don't know. Maybe logically I can therefore assume this is grey. I don't know. I don't know whether that's sensible to do that. Anyway, what does that mean? And that what gave me that logic? It's funny that I can't remember it now. Oh yes, I was looking at. Yes, I was looking at this row, wasn't I? And asking where blue went in it. So in theory, if I look at this row and ask at where grey goes in it, I should get the same answer. So grey can't be here. In fact, that is orange, I'm now seeing. Oh, this is interesting. So actually, you can see the logic does work here. I've got to put 2 greys in this row, 2 more greys, and they can't go there. So that is grey by this logic. But actually, I know that digit anyway is grey because it sees blue and orange. So that's grey, and therefore that is blue. And therefore that would have been grey by elimination anyway. So that's blue, that's orange, that's grey. And again I get a stripe. So this is now, this is grey. So there was a stripe. How weird. Okay, well I proved it anyway by looking at this column that that was grey, but maybe there was an argument that said I could have just assumed it and it would have worked. So that's blue. So hang on, I got all of this done. Why haven't I got all of this done over here? Is that me being slow? Probably. How did I do that? How did I get the... Oh, goodness me, I'm having a complete mental block here. And it's weird because I've only just done the logic the other way round. But now I'm wondering how I completed this row. How did I know that the 2 was here? I have no idea how I did that. I'm just going to unwind and just have a look. Oh, I got the 2 down here, did I? How did I get that 2? I've forced... Oh, so I have to do more work in box 1 for this to be valid. Okay, I definitely haven't done that work over here, have I? I've not figured out what's going on in this box. That's so weird. Okay. Well, maybe did I do something in that column? I don't know. It's so strange to me that I can't just immediately like force this, but I don't think I can. Oh, I see how to do it now. I see how to do it now. It's the way to do it is to look at this row. I've got 3 oranges. Therefore I need to put another grey in. And the grey can't go there, so that must be grey. And that gives me this digit, which is now orange, and that gives me the 2. Okay. So yeah, that's just me and my peculiar brain and the way it misfires most of the time. So now that digit looks like it's going to have to be orange, and that is true because that must be blue. So that's an orange, and now all of a sudden we have found our way into the mystery arrow in the top left. And we can rule 2 out from this square, and presumably, he says, I'm not actually sure what I'm about to say is true, but is it possible now for me to colour the whole of the... It must be possible for me to colour the whole of the left side. I see how to do it, yeah. This becomes 2, which we know is orange, which means that square becomes blue, which means this square becomes grey, and therefore that square is actually also grey. Therefore this square needs to be orange, and in fact that's an orange with a green flash, and this becomes blue. So let's make sure we've done all our flashing. Our flashing needs to be completely and utterly prolific before we continue. Can I get... Oh, that's green in the corner, which means that's orange-green. This now is blue by the power of colour, and therefore that's grey. And somehow, some way, what we have in the grid, and especially in this corner, I think has to finish the puzzle for us. Because we have completed, well, we've almost overcoloured it because we've actually differentiated between our oranges. So, how do we do this then? This is weird. This doesn't differentiate. This doesn't disambiguate at all. Knowing there's a 2 on a 6, 7, 8 or 9 arrow. So the green cells, but we've only got, well, we've got this as green, I suppose. So if this was 6, this would be a 1, 5 pair. But how are we ever going to know the order of the blue digits? Whoa, that's a weird question. We've got to find a way of disambiguating the blue digits. So I've missed something here. I've missed something. This is very difficult. The same is obviously true for the grey digits. How do we differentiate between all three of them? With the orange digits we could do it because we knew there was a 2 involved. And then we could place the 2 and then we could colour the remaining digits very nicely. But if I just colour all of the blue digits, I'm not even sure it would be possible to do it because they're all offset. But if I did manage to do it, what would it actually tell me? I'm wondering if it's maths actually in the middle box. 1, 3, 4, 5 is 13. Yeah, these have to be big. Oh my goodness me. Oh, that's so clever. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I think this has been available for a while as well. But let me show you. Okay, what are those digits is the question I want to ask. And the answer is actually they're forced. And they're forced because the minimum I can make them is 1, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 3, 4 and 5 add up to 13. But we've still got 2 more digits to add on. And the most beautiful thing about this is that these 2 digits are different numbers because one of them is in the blue set, one of them is in the grey set, and neither of them can be 2. So what's the absolute minimum I can make those digits? Well, it would be a 1, 3 pair. And now the absolute minimum sum of all of these digits is 17. But look, the 2 circles are different colours as well. So the only way that these can be 17 is if these are 8 and 9. And now 8 and 9 are in grey and blue. So they're not in green, so that is not 8 or 9, which means it's got a 1 on it. There's got to be a 1 in one of these squares. It's either 1, 2, 3. So it's either 1, 3 or it's 1, 4. And all of a sudden, I think we're close to something here. Well, okay. I can, yeah, because I've suddenly got some traction on the grey, there's a high grey digit, which is an 8 or a 9. I can see I've got to place it here in this box. And that's going to go round the grid, is it? Yes, it is, because I know where it goes in this box as well. It's got to go there. So now it's there, there, there. It's not in either of those. It's here, here. That's it. So that's all. So that should... Oh, is that going to work the other way round, or did I use that box? I'm not sure if it'll work for blue. Let's have a go. That's now 8 or 9. That's 8 or 9. It does work for blue because this is ruling itself out of being 8 or 9, so I get that one. Which means that blue in this box is here, which means this is blue. When I say blue, I mean 8, 9 and blue, which means that's 8, 9. This is 8, 9, which means this is 8, 9. Have I placed all the 8s and the 9s? I think I've done all of them now. Grey 1, 3 is not that digit by Sudoku, so that is a grey 1, 3. Whoops. And by symmetry, or by Sudoku if you prefer it, that is a blue 1, 3, so that's got to go there because it can't go there. So that is not a 1, 3, that is a 1, 3. I get a 1, 3 pair here, which means that this is a 4, 5, and therefore... Well, now I can continue going around the grid with my 1s and 3s. That's a 1, 3. So that's it. We've done it. We've done it. We've cracked it. We've cracked it. Because, look at this. This has become a blue 1, 3. which means this is not a blue 1-3. But if it's not a blue 1-3 and it's not a blue 8-9, the only other thing it's allowed to be is a blue 4-5. So there's the common digit between those two cells is 4. So they must be 4. Which means this must be 7. And it means this must be 1. Which means this must be 1, and this must be 3, and this must be 3, and this must be 3. So every time... So blue is a 3-4 pair, so we can do this now. We can just go around the grid filling it in. That's got to be 3, that's got to be 4, that's got to be 3, that's got to be 4. It'd probably be very easy to make a mistake doing this, but I'm going to try and do it. 4, 3, that's got to be a 4, that's got to be a 3. Is that all of the blues done? Now, we now know that orange green is 7, so we can find well, that doesn't work. Okay, orange green is 7. Let's just go 7 7 7 7 7 7 7. This is a 6 now by the power of Sudoku. So that's a 6. That must be a 6. That must be a 6. That must be a 6. Oh, hang on. This has gone wrong. Sorry, that doesn't seem to be correct at all. Because that's math. No, the thing, in fact, this is the 6, isn't it? And I'm seeing that because, of course, the other grey digit is a 4-5, which I haven't pencil marked around the grid. And in fact, that's a 5 now, so that's probably the place to start. That's got to be great. That's got to be a 5. That's got to be a 5. So that's a 5. That's a 5. That's a 5. The other is a 1, isn't it? So it's 1s and 5s. Oh, in fact, that's proving 1 plus 5 equals 6. So that is proving that orange red is 6. Let's fill all those in. Prevent me making any more deliberate mistakes. That's a 5. That's a 1. So that's a 5. That's a 1. So that's a 1. This 6 is 1 plus 5, so that's working. I need a 1 in there. And I've just got 8s. Oh, I've got that digit as well. That's got to be a 1, hasn't it? So I've just got 8s and 9s left to do. Which arrow have we not filled in? Oh, that one. 5 plus 1 plus 3 is 9. So blue is 9. Let's just fill all those in. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. And therefore grey should be 8. And it is. 1 plus 3 plus 4 is 8. So it's just stunning. It is absolutely beautiful, this puzzle. Yay. That was stone cold quality from Crusader 175. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I mean, the start's beautiful. The way you can use the arrows, the symmetry's beautiful. The way you can sort of plow, you know, you can plow into the colouring as soon as you find out anything in any position, providing you remember whatever logic it was you used in the symmetrical counterpart position. And then the finish is beautiful because all of a sudden this arrow comes into play, and yeah, but it was actually a little bit of maths that got us out of trouble. We could sum those, and then these being different and these being different, all of which were necessary in order to allow us to sort of do a sort of min-max calculation around this middle box. What a stunning puzzle. Loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I hope you had a go, and I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.